So thank you very much for joining the class. Today we are going to delve into the Python list. So basically, list is just like an ordinary variables that we have discussed, but only different is that when you are declaring a list, you can set a number of items, not single items. You can have an empty list, or sometimes you can have a list that has a several elements. So basically, when we say a list is a collection of items in a particular order. So it's not necessarily that the list has to be in alphabetical order. No, sometimes you can have a list that has that are arranged randomly. And not necessarily that the list has to take maybe only numbers. No, list can take numbers, letters, characters, and what have you. So a list is a collection of items in a particular order. So, and the most important thing about a list is that always list start with a square bracket. That's the most important thing. Python list always start with a square bracket, and each individual element in the list are spread by commas. For example, let me declare this. Okay, I think what you have seen here is a basket of fruits. So let's assume that we want to maybe create a list of this. Let's assume we want to create a list of this fruits. So let's say fruit equals to, okay. So please, what and what are you saying here? I think we can have an orange. Apart from orange, we can have lemon still. Okay, sorry, that was to be. So we have lemon. Then I have corner. I think we can have another one, pineapple. Yeah, pineapple. Okay, sorry, we have. Apart from pineapple, we also have what again? We have banana. Sorry. Okay. Apart from banana, we also have what? We have strawberry and berries. So let me start with, sorry. We have berries and we have strawberries. So let's assume we have this element. So so I think there's a lot, some I don't know their name, but let's add them. So this is how you declare your list. If you can see, you can see that I declare the list as a fruit and it contains orange, lemon, pineapple, banana, berries, then strawberries. So this is the list. So let me click enter. So you see, I declare the list. So this is how the list is. So let me give you an example. So I think let me move to Jupyter Notebook. So look at it. So I can have here fruits, mango, banana, orange, and what have you. And I can have another list that contains bicycles, sorry. So, okay, let me run this one because I didn't run it. Okay, so this is so let me print it so that you can see the content of the list. So let me print it out. Okay, so let me print fruits, only fruits here. Okay, let's run. That's wrong. Okay, execution the code in the best of Python. Okay, so give me a minute. Let me handle this one. Okay, so this is how you print out the element of the list. So you see, these are the content of the list. We have the mango, we have the banana, orange, grapes, berry, strawberry, and lemon. And we can declare another list that contains bicycles. We have track, Canonical, red lines, specialized. So you see the content of the list. So this is basically what a list is all about. And you can have, maybe let's declare another list. Like let's call it my list. So my list. And okay. So let's assume I have this kind of list and it contains AFO. You see, AFO, because AFO is a what? Is a string. It contains letters. That's why it has this double quotes. And look at 42 as an integer. And look at I have 3.14 as a plot. And true. This true is what you call a boolean. And we have banana, another a string. So let me print out this. And this is that. So a list can contain multiple data types. You see, that's what I want you to understand. But not necessarily that this must contain all the string. Look as in this case, you know, a string can contain a different data type. It can contain string, integer, plot, boolean, and banana. So I think we didn't talk about this one. This true. We have two types of boolean. It can be a true or false. But make sure when writing the true, make sure the T is in capital, and when writing false, make sure the F is also in capital. Yeah, and you don't need to write the codes. So the boolean is always true or false, and the T and F must be capital. Okay, so the next thing is that there will be a situation whereby you want to make the use of one particular element in a list. So how can you access that element in the list? So to do that, the first thing is that you need to write the list. That's the one. Number two, you need to know the index of that element that you want to use. For example, maybe I want to use this boolean. That's true. This true. Let's assume I want to use this true. Maybe I want to use it to do maybe a kind of maybe I want to do it for let's say I want to use it in my program. So I want this true. So to do that, I need to know the index, or I want to know the position of this element. So to do that is that the first thing you need to know, how do you calculate the index of the element? So whenever you are dealing with programming, so the index is always starting with zero. So zero is number. So that's why Apple is index 0, 42 is index 1, 3.14 is in index 2. Then this one, sorry, this one is index 0, 1, 2, and this true is index 3. Then banana is index 4. It's just like the number of the element, then minus what? Minus 1. If you count this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can say this is in the position 5. When you minus 1 is in the position what? 4. So let's assume. Let me okay, let me say uh okay, let me say something like this. Maybe the position of banana is okay. So to do that one, how can I know the position? Okay, sorry. Okay, sorry. Maybe okay, sorry. Maybe the element in index 5. So maybe index 2 is, so let me go here. Okay, so to access the index of to know the element that is in a particular index, you say the name of the list. Look at it, the list is what? My list. So then you what? You open the square brackets and insert the index number of that element. So maybe I want to use this one. Here is 0, 1, 2. So maybe I want this one, which is in position 3. So maybe let me use it here, position 3. So let me come here and make it 3 here. Okay. So let me write. So you see, the element in index 3 is what is true. So to access the element, The first thing to do is just write the name of the list, then open a square bracket, then insert the index of that element. To know the index of the element, count from the beginning of the list, but always start with zero. So here is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this true is in the position what? Position index 3. That's why I have 3 here. Let me give you another example so that you understand much better. So let's say print. Let's assume we want to print maybe second item. Second item. What let me call second fruit. Let's consider another second fruit in the fruit list. Sorry, list ish. So you see, so remember I declared the fruit list here at the top. Look at it here. So I want to know what is the element or what is the second fruit in the list. So look at it. Here will be index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, index 4, index 5, index 6. So you see, if I want to know the second element, look at the second element, which is banana, but it index what? In index 1. So that's why I use 1 here. I use 1 here. So you see, that's why I have banana. But banana is not it's not a proper noun, but maybe I can make it if I want. I can make it in a title case to have the B in capital. So maybe use it here like in title case. Okay. So okay, sorry here has to be open and close bracket. So I have banana here. So basically, this is how you assess the list, the element in the list. You see? So let's assume I have another, but I have already explained this one. Let's assume I have a names list that contains Isa, Umar, Abba, and Abu Bakr. But remember, this Abu Bakr, I have a white space after A before the closing quotes. So that's why when I said print the names, which is Abu Bakr in the position 3, begins index 3. That's why here from here 0, 1, 2, 3. Abu Bakr in index 3. That's why I have 3 here. But I want to move this space here. So I have to strip it. That's why I have the strip. And I want Abu Bakr to appear in title case because Abu Bakr is what is a proper noun. And a proper noun always start with what? With capital A. Okay, sorry. I have to capitalize the first letter, not capital A. The first letter must be capitalized. So that's why I have title here. Title case. And not necessarily title, but you can capitalize it, yeah. So when you run it, you can see something like this. So I think you have no doubt. I have no doubt that you know how to assess the element. So I think you can go through this one. Second name, second name. You have first you write you have to write the name of the list, then the index of that element, then and is a name. So you have to put it in title case here. So that's why I've declared this one and this one, and I have to write it like this. Then run it. Okay, sorry. I got some issue here. Let me see what the problem is. Okay, sorry, I got the issue. So let me run here. Okay, so let me run here again. Okay, so the second name and third name are Umar and Abba respectively. But there will be an issue here because Umar and are not separated. So to do that one, you have two options. Look at here. Here is the second name. Basically, you can add space here like this one. So you can have the another separated. If you don't want to, you can you can leave it like this. Let me leave it like this. But I have to do something. I have to do something. Let me have here. Let me create a double quote with space here. Then I have plus. What I'm doing is that I'm declaring an empty string here. This is a string, but I just declare it with a space because there is no space here. This space is another variable. So if I run it like this, you see, I can have it here. That's why I have this. Okay, let me show you what I did before because I didn't see the impact of what I did. Let me show you something. Look at here. Look at what I did here. Okay, let me show you. So initially, this is what we have. Let me write here. So you see, Omar and. So what I'm saying is that you can have space here so that this will be separated. Otherwise, you have to declare another space here as a new variable. And so you see, okay, so this is what I'm saying. This is this string with a space in between. It's just for this one. So let me run it here. So you see, for this is what I'm saying. So whenever I want to count the index or the position of an element, always start with 0. This is what this is telling me. So Python consider the first item in the list to be at the position 0, not 1. So this is a great mistake that most of the beginners in Python experience. So please try to avoid this. Whenever you are counting, always start counting with 0. So we have position 0, then start 1, 2, and 3. So this is true for most of the programming language, not only Python. And the reason has to do with, sorry, I got some issues. Are you seeing my screen?
Hello,
No, we cannot
bawa
see
gani
it now.
gaskiya,
Okay,
bawa
okay,
gani.
no problem. Okay, so but there's another thing. Sometimes this whenever you are starting counting with 0, this is what you call positive indexing, and we can have a negative indexing as well. But negative indexing always start by at the last element in the list, and this is what you call negative indexing. And the last element is always -1, -1. The position of the last element is what is -1. Let me give you an example so that you will understand it properly. And so I have you have no problem with this one. So let me give you an example here. Okay, yeah, let me give you an example here. So let's assume I have maybe courses here. Okay, yeah, let's assume I have courses like this. So I have courses like this, which are contain mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, and English. Okay, yeah, sure. Okay. So let's assume I want to print. Okay, this one is helping me too much, but this is good. Okay, so I want to access the last element in the list. Okay, I think if I do that one, you not understand, but let me write it by myself so that you understand what I mean. Okay, so maybe I want to. Okay, let me start by writing the last element. Yeah, so maybe the last element. Yeah, the last element, and the list is. So let me start the code. Yeah. Okay, so what I want you to understand is that this is the statement I want you to print. But after this one is printed, I want the value at the end. Just for example here, I write the first name in the list is. So I want the name to appear after is. So that's why I write names and the position is 0 dot title. I want it to be in title case. So this one, I want this element to be printed with the name of the course at the end of this of the statement. So this is what I'm doing. So you see, so let me run this one. So the first thing to do is this course is the name of the list. But I told you when you want to access the last element of the list, you just have to, instead of saying here is, let me give you an example. Maybe you understand. Instead of me try this one, maybe I want to, here is position 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see English is in first for index. So let me write 4 here. So maybe let me run it. So you see, English appears here. But I can do it in in a negative index way. How can I do it? Always the last element is in -1 index. So let me write it here. -1 index. Okay, so let me write. And you see still English is valid. Okay. If you don't understand, let me use it like this way. Like it here. English, so okay, sorry. Let me run it here, maybe. Okay. The last element, so write course. So you see, if I want, I can read like this way. So it appears as English. So this way is what you call negative indexing. And it's not necessarily to do it to access the last element, you can access any element. Let's assume I want to access the second element. How can I do that? So to do that one is, let me come to the list. What is the list? Look at the list. So here is -1. Here will be -2, -3, -4, and -5. So if I want physics, physics in what is in negative what? Is in -1, -2, -3, -4. So let me come right here. The second element, okay, the second element, you see, instead of me to write -1, I have to say -what, -4, because here is -1, -2, -3, -4. So that's why I have -4 here. And let me write, you see, basic affairs. So this is how you assess element using negative indexing. Okay, so the next thing is adding and removing element in a list. So what I want you to understand is that list is a dynamic. What I mean by dynamic is that list can be changed. You can declare an empty list and keep building it with time. You can have maybe, for example, like let me define. Okay, let me define a list. Let me call it my list. Okay, let's assume. So this is my list, and this my list doesn't contain anything. It's an empty list. So if I want, I can keep building it. Let's assume I want to. Okay, before that one, let me declare it with one variable. Let's assume it contains a, only a. Let's assume it contains only a. Okay, so this list, my list contains only a. Okay, so the next thing is how can you modify it? Okay, modify means you have a list and you want to change with a variable with another variable. Do you understand? For example, let's assume I want to change this a to another element. Instead of this list contain a, maybe I want the list to contain b, for example. Maybe it's a maybe you decided to list the name of the courses that give you a headache. So maybe you write hydraulics. So maybe after you want to different lectures, you realize that yeah, hydraulics is no more a challenging course. So maybe you want to remove it from the list. So how do you do this one? How do you do this? This is what you call modify an element. How can you remove an element from the list and replace it with another thing? So to do this one is the first thing is you need to know the location or the index of that element you want to replace. So after you know it, then you what? Then you override it. How can you do this one? Let me write it here. So let's say my list, okay? Okay, so what always start with the name of the list, my list. What is the index of that element? So this is A. So let me the index is 0. Okay. So with what I want to replace it with, maybe I want to replace it with B. So yeah, I have B. So let me print the list again so that you will see. Print the list. Okay. So you see the list is no more containing A. It has containing B. Okay. Here the list contains B. Let me print out it so that you will see what I have. Okay. Okay. No more. Print my list. Okay. You see initially the list contained A, but look at the list now contains B. So this is how you change one element with another one. So this is how you modify list. The first thing to do is write the name of the list, open square bracket, then write the index of the element you want to replace, then place the assigning operator. This is what you call assigning operator. This equal sign is what you call assigning operator. Then you insert the value you want to replace with, and that's it. So this is how you modify element in a list. Okay, so let's assume I have this thing. I have a list that contains motorcycles, Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki. Okay, but I want to replace Honda with Ducati. Yeah, so how can you do this one? So to do this one is initially, okay, let me show you something. Let me show you something. So initially, this is what I have. The list motorcycles, these are the elements that it has. Motorcycles have Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki. So let me have motorcycles here. Okay, so I want to replace Honda with Ducati. So first thing is, let me write the name of the list, motorcycles. Okay, motorcycles. The next thing is what I want to replace with. Honda is in the position. Okay, let's assume I want to replace Yamaha. Let's assume I want to replace Yamaha. Yamaha is in the position what? Position 0, 1. It's index 0, index 1, sorry. So I have index 1. So with what I want to replace Yamaha with, let me write another. So let's assume Ducati. So you see, sorry, I have Ducati. So I can now print the updated motorcycle list, and now Yamaha is no longer available in the list. I updated with Ducati. So this is how you update a list. So the next thing is that there will be a situation whereby you have a list and you want to keep adding element in the list. How can you do this one? To do this one, we have three methods. Number one is append method. Number two, we have insert method. But the problem with append method is that you always add element to the list at the end of the list. At the end, let's assume. I think let me call my list. Remember, I have my list, right? My list, which is I declared with only single variable. Yeah, my list. What is it? No, my list. I want it. Look at it. It contains only B. Initially, I declared with A, but it contains only B. So I want to add element. Maybe I want to add B, C, D. Okay. So to do this one, let me say my list. My list. But I want to add element. Let me say dot append. This dot append means I want to add element. Okay. There are often parentheses. Let me declare the element I want to add. Maybe I want to add D. Okay. So we run it. Okay. So let me print my list again so that you see. So you see, the reason why you have double D initially, before I run this, I add D. Before I print this one, that's why I have double D. Okay. And so if I run it again, you will see another D affair again. Let me show you. You see, another D affair. So this is how you add. But always remember, whenever you are okay, but let me show you something. Let me come back here and run my list again so that you let me show you here. Okay, okay, sorry, not this one. Okay, so let me show you this one. So now my list contains only A. So let me replace it here with B as I did. So let me come back here. So now you can have it here. Let me assume here I have C. So let me see what you have here. So I have B and C. Okay. So let's assume I have a list that contains names Isa, Umar, Abba, Abubakar. So I think we have the many is four, but you can join with the same link. Okay. So I have these names Isa, Umar, Abba, Abubakar, and I want to add Musa at the end. So I can use names dot append and add Musa. Then if I run it, I can have Musa here at the end. And let me call it attendance. Yeah, attendance. Okay. Okay. So let's assume this attendance count. Yeah, let me declare it with empty list. Okay. So let's assume I declare this attendance because I don't know how many people were in the class or joined the lesson. So let me check the attendance. Yeah, I can see Zarewa is there, Anas is there, Abdullah is there, the Q is there. So, okay, so let me append the names. Okay. Okay. So the first thing is let me use Zarewa. Okay, sorry, I got some issues here. Okay, Zarewa. Okay, after Zarewa, I have Anas. Anas here. After Anas, I have Abdullahi. Okay, after Abdullahi, I have another one, Zakiyu. Okay, so let's assume these are the only people who attend the lesson. So these are the okay, but okay, sorry. I can do something like okay, let me do something like this. Okay, okay. So now I append the river. Okay, so I can append another one. Maybe I have attendance that append the honors. No, so I can append another one. But you can do it at the same time, not necessarily to add it one after another. No, but you can do it at the same time. So let me add the queue at the last one. No, uh, the queue. Okay, so let me print the list now. So look at I have the real Anas the queue. So that's what I want you to understand. So whenever you have a list, you can declare an empty list and keep adding element. But when you are using append, the element is always added at the end. That's why initially it is what? It is empty. So I add Zariwa. That's why Zariwa is now become the first one. Then append Anas, the second one. Then the cube, the third one. So if I have keep adding, so always the element will be at the end. So that's what I want you to understand. Okay, but because I have less than 1 minute, if you join again, we'll start discussing about a certain element in a list. So I hope you have no problem with this one. Let's let's stop here because we have 1 minute. We can join again within the same link. I don't want to get intro when I started to get interrupted with the job. So the time is up.
Ok, to ya yi kyau Allah ya ba da lada. Saka da alkhairi.
But you can join with the same link again.
Ok.
Just give me minutes, 1 minute, yeah.